She had $1 left in her hand. That was all she had in the whole world. No food, no money, no family who cared. That evening, she saw an old man sitting outside the market. His clothes were torn. His feet were bare. People walked past him like he was nothing. She knelt down. She placed her last dollar in his hand. "Take this, sir," she said. "I don't have much, but you need it more than me." The old man looked up at her with tired eyes. He didn't know it yet, but that single dollar was about to change 2 lives forever, because that dirty beggar was the richest man in the world. Welcome back to SM Stories. This is the channel where love is tested, where the poor are judged, and where the truth always comes out in the end. If you love emotional stories about love, betrayal, and justice, make sure you are subscribed, because today's story will break your heart and heal it. Stay till the end. This one is different. Now, let the story begin. Her name was Amara. In her family, she was the daughter nobody wanted. Her stepmother, Madame Ngozi, never called her daughter. She called her that girl. Her stepsister, Chioma, had everything. New clothes, a phone, a car her mother bought her. Amara had none of it. Every morning, Amara woke up before the sun to sweep the compound, wash plates, and fetch water from the well. While she worked, Chioma sat on the veranda painting her nails. "Amara, hurry up," Chioma shouted. "Some of us have real lives to live." Amara said nothing. She had learned a long time ago that arguing only made things worse. Her father had died when she was 12. Since then, this house had never felt like home. "You eat my husband's food," Madame Ngozi would say, "so you will work for it. Nothing in this life is free." Amara wanted to scream. She wanted to say, "This was my father's house too." But she stayed quiet. Silence was the only peace she had left. That morning, Madame Ngozi called her into the parlor. "Amara, Chioma's engagement party is this weekend. The Alazi family is coming. Very rich people. You will help in the kitchen, not in front of the guests. Do you understand?" Amara nodded. "Yes, Ma." "Good. And wear something plain. We don't want anybody confusing you for family." Chioma laughed from the corner. "Don't worry, Mama. Nobody will ever confuse her for anything." The words cut deep, but Amara only lowered her eyes and walked away. That evening, Amara went to the market to sell the last of her mother's old wrappers. It was the only thing of value she still owned. She needed money for transport, for food, for anything. By sunset, she had sold everything for $1. $1. That was her entire world. As she walked home, she passed an old man sitting by the roadside. His clothes were dirty and torn. His skin was covered in dust. Nobody stopped to look at him. People stepped over his legs like he was invisible. Amara stopped. "Sir, are you hungry?" she asked. The old man looked up slowly. His eyes were sharp, even though his body looked weak. "I have not eaten today," he said quietly. Amara looked at the dollar in her hand. It was everything she had. If she gave it away, she would go home with nothing. But something in her heart told her to give it anyway. She knelt down beside him. "Take this," she said, placing the dollar in his palm. "It's not much, but please, buy something to eat." The old man stared at her hand, then at her face. "Why would you give me your last money?" he asked. "You don't even know me." Amara smiled gently. "Because nobody should sleep hungry, not even a stranger." The old man's eyes softened. For a moment, something flickered behind them, something like disbelief. "What is your name, child?" "Amara." "Thank you, Amara," he said. "I will not forget this." She nodded, stood up, and walked away into the night, with empty hands and a full heart. She had no idea that the man she just fed was the richest man on Earth. 3 days later, Amara was sweeping the front yard when a black car pulled up outside the gate. Everyone in the compound froze. Cars like that never came to this street. The driver stepped out and opened the back door. An old man walked out, the same old man from the market. But now his clothes were clean, simple but neat. Madame Ngozi rushed outside, smiling wide. "Oga, welcome, welcome. Please come in." The old man ignored her. His eyes searched the compound until they found Amara standing near the well, broom in hand, stunned. "There she is," he said softly. "The girl who gave a stranger her last dollar." Madame Ngozi's smile froze. "Amara? What did she do?" The old man walked toward Amara. "You didn't ask who I was. You didn't ask what I could give you back. You just gave. That is rare in this world." Amara didn't know what to say. "Sir, I only did what was right. My name is Kelechi," he said. "I would like to repay your kindness. Would you allow me to take care of you? Not as charity, as respect." Chioma stepped out from the house, laughing. "Take care of her? Sir, she's just our house help. She sweeps floors." Kelechi turned to her, his voice calm but firm. "Kindness is not measured by class. It is measured by the heart. And her heart is richer than anyone's in this house." Madame Ngozi quickly changed her tone. "Oh, Amara is very hard-working, sir. We love her like our own daughter." Amara looked down, biting back the pain of the lie. Kelechi turned back to Amara. "Come, let me at least buy you a proper meal. You fed me when I had nothing. Let me return the kindness." Amara hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." As she walked toward the car, Chioma whispered under her breath, "Enjoy it while it lasts." Over the next few weeks, Kelechi visited often. He never came with grand gifts. He came with simple things: bread, tea, quiet conversation. He didn't dress like a rich man. He still wore plain clothes. He said it kept his heart humble. They would sit outside on an old wooden bench, sharing food from paper bags. "Why do you dress so simply?" Amara asked one evening. Kelechi smiled. "Because when people think you have nothing, they show you who they really are." Amara laughed softly. "So the market was a test?" "No," he said. "The market was real. I truly had nothing that day. I wanted to see this world without my name attached to it. And I found you." There was something peaceful about him. He didn't rush her. He didn't demand anything. He simply listened. "You are the first person who ever asked how I feel," Amara admitted one night. "Not what I can do, just how I feel." "Then I will keep asking," Kelechi said. "Every day, if you let me." For the first time in years, Amara felt safe. But peace never lasts long in a house full of jealousy. Word spread through the neighborhood. "The rich old man keeps visiting that house girl." Madame Ngozi began to change her tune. She started calling Amara "my dear" in public, hoping to appear close to her. But behind closed doors, it was different. "Who told you to smile at him like that?" Madame Ngozi snapped one night. "You will not shame this family. If he wants to help someone, he should help Chioma. She is the one getting married soon. She needs a car, not stories from an old beggar." "He is not a beggar anymore, Mama," Amara said quietly. "Don't correct me," Madame Ngozi shouted. "You are still nothing in this house. Don't let one old man's kindness make you forget your place." Chioma stormed in. Her earlier laughter turned into anger. "Everybody keeps talking about Amara this, Amara that. What does she have that I don't? A stranger feels sorry for her, and suddenly she's special? I never asked for any of this," Amara said. "Then stop accepting it," Chioma shouted back. Amara wanted to defend herself, but she remembered Kelechi's words. Silence is not weakness, it is patience. She walked outside instead, letting the cool night air calm her chest. Little did the family know, the old man's visits were only the beginning of something much bigger. One afternoon, Amara went to deliver a message to Kelechi at the small guest house where he was staying. But when she arrived, she noticed something strange. Two large security guards stood outside the door, dressed in black suits. "Good afternoon, Miss Amara," one of them said, bowing slightly. "He is expecting you." Amara frowned. "How do you know my name?" The guard only smiled and opened the door. Inside, she saw Kelechi speaking on the phone. His tone was different now, sharp, commanding. "Tell the board I said no delay. The hotel project in Lagos must be completed by December," he said firmly. Then he noticed Amara and quickly ended the call. "Amara, come in," he said gently, his voice softening instantly. "Who was that?" she asked. "You sounded like someone important." Kelechi smiled carefully. I used to work in business long ago. Amara wanted to ask more, but something told her not to push. Still, doubt planted itself quietly in her heart. Later that week, she saw the same black car with a golden emblem on the side. She had seen that emblem before, on a billboard downtown, above the words, Okonkwo Global Holdings. Her hands trembled slightly, but she said nothing. Not yet. Money changes people, she thought. But some secrets change everything. The night of Chioma's engagement party finally arrived. Lanterns lit the compound. Music played. Rich guests filled the tents, all dressed in gold and lace. Amara wasn't invited to sit among the guests. She was told to serve drinks in the kitchen, as always. But then, unexpectedly, Kelechi walked in, dressed simply, as usual. Madame Ngozi rushed toward him, all smiles. Oga, you honor us with your presence. I came only because Amara mentioned the party, Kelechi said calmly. Chioma's fiancé, a wealthy businessman named Emeka, laughed loudly. Old man, are you lost? This side is for important guests. The crowd chuckled. Kelechi said nothing, only smiled. Amara, standing near the kitchen door with a tray in her hands, felt her chest tighten with embarrassment for him. Sir, please, she whispered. Let's just go. You don't have to stay here and be disrespected. No, Kelechi said gently. Watch. Sometimes the truth reveals itself when we least expect it. Just then, one of Emeka's business partners walked in, an important banker named Mr. Adisa. The moment his eyes landed on Kelechi, his face went pale. Chief Okonkwo, Mr. Adisa gasped, immediately bowing. Sir, I did not know you were here. Please forgive my. The entire room went silent. Emeka's smile disappeared. Wait, Chief Okonkwo, as in, Kelechi Okonkwo, the owner of Okonkwo Global Holdings. Mr. Adisa nodded quickly. Yes, the richest man in the country. Maybe the richest man in the world. Gasps spread through the crowd like fire. Madame Ngozi's tray of drinks slipped from her hands and shattered on the floor. Chioma's mouth fell open. That's the beggar from the market? You called him a gatekeeper, Amara said softly, her voice trembling with realization. Now you stand inside his hotel chain's own investors' party. The room stared at Kelechi in stunned silence. Kelechi stepped forward, his presence suddenly commanding the entire room. Yes, he said calmly. I am Kelechi Okonkwo. I built this empire from nothing, and I disguised myself as a poor man to see who in this world still had kindness left in their hearts. He looked directly at Madame Ngozi. You called Amara that girl. You made her sweep floors while your daughter painted her nails. Madame Ngozi's hands shook. Sir, it wasn't like that, And you? Kelechi turned to Chioma. You told her to enjoy kindness while it lasted. Well, kindness lasted long enough to reveal your true heart. Chioma's eyes filled with tears of humiliation. I didn't know. That's the point, Kelechi said. You should not need to know someone's wealth to treat them with respect. Emeka, visibly shaken, stepped forward. Chief Okonkwo, I meant no disrespect earlier, Save it, Kelechi said simply. Words mean nothing when your actions already showed your true character. He turned toward Amara, and his voice softened completely. This woman gave me her last dollar when she had nothing left. She never once asked who I was. She never once asked for anything in return. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Gasps spread through the room again. Amara, he said, kneeling in front of everyone. I did not come into this family to shame anyone. I came because I found something priceless in a place where people worship money, a heart that gives without expecting anything back. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Kelechi, I am not asking you because I am rich, he said. I am asking you because you loved me when I had nothing. Will you marry me? The crowd held its breath. Amara's hands trembled as she looked around the room, at Madame Ngozi's shocked face, at Chioma's tears, at the family who once called her nothing. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I will marry you. The room erupted, some in cheers, some in stunned silence, and some, like Madame Ngozi, in quiet regret. That night, after the party ended, Amara sat outside alone, staring at the stars. Kelechi found her there. "You're not smiling," he said gently, sitting beside her. "I am happy," Amara said, "but I am also confused. You lied to me. For weeks, I thought you were just a poor old man." "I did not lie," Kelechi said. "I simply did not tell you everything. There is a difference." "It still hurt," Amara admitted. "When I found out, I felt foolish, like I had been tested without knowing it." Kelechi took her hand gently. "You were never being tested to fail, Amara. You were being tested to prove what I already believed, that true kindness does not disappear when nobody is watching." Amara wiped a tear from her eye. "I need time," she said, "not to doubt you, but to understand everything that happened." "Take all the time you need," Kelechi said. "I fell in love with your patience. It is only right that I show you the same." For the next few days, Amara kept her distance, processing everything: the shock, the truth, the hidden identity. But every evening, Kelechi still came, not with gifts, but with simple conversation, patiently rebuilding trust one honest word at a time. Slowly, the hurt began to fade, replaced by something steadier: understanding. Meanwhile, Madame Ngozi could not sleep. The shame of that night haunted her. "We insulted the richest man in the world," she muttered to herself. "And now the whole town knows how we treated Amara." Chioma, too, sat quietly in her room, staring at her engagement ring, the one Emeka had given her before the truth came out. Their engagement had quietly ended after the humiliation, as Emeka scrambled to protect his own business reputation, leaving Chioma alone with her regret. "I called her a house girl," Chioma whispered to herself, "but she has more grace than I will ever have." Days later, Madame Ngozi worked up the courage to visit Amara. "Amara," she said, her voice shaking, "I know I do not deserve your forgiveness. I made your life hard in this house. I made you feel like nothing." Amara listened quietly, her heart heavy but open. "I am not asking for money," Madame Ngozi continued. "I am asking for forgiveness. I was wrong." Amara took a deep breath. "I forgive you, Mama. Not because you deserve it today, but because I refuse to carry this anger forever. It was never my job to make you see my worth. That was always yours to learn." Madame Ngozi broke into tears, holding Amara's hands. "You have a heart of gold, my child. I am sorry it took so long for me to see it." Months later, the wedding took place, not in a giant golden hall, but in a simple, beautifully decorated garden, exactly as Amara wished. She wore a modest white dress, elegant but humble, just like the woman she had always been. Kelechi stood at the altar, watching her walk down the aisle, his eyes full of quiet pride. "You once told me nobody should sleep hungry," he said as she reached him. "Today, I promise you will never feel forgotten again." Amara smiled through happy tears. "And I promise to love you the same way I did when I thought you had nothing at all." Even Madame Ngozi and Chioma sat in the front row, not as guests of honor, but as family slowly rebuilding what jealousy once destroyed. As the vows were exchanged, Kelechi whispered one final promise: "Money changes people, Amara. But you changed me." The crowd applauded as the couple embraced. The poor girl nobody wanted, and the richest man in the world, now bound together not by wealth, but by a single act of kindness that started it all. Years later, Amara built a shelter for the homeless in the same market where she once gave away her last dollar. She named it simply, the Last Dollar House. Every evening, she would walk through the shelter, greeting the people there, never asking who they were or what they had, because she remembered a simple truth her own life had taught her. You never know who is standing in front of you. The next stranger you help might just change your whole world. She gave her last dollar without knowing who he was. In the end, it wasn't the dollar that made her rich. It was the heart that gave it. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SM Stories. We tell stories about love, kindness, and the truth that always finds its way to the surface. Tell us in the comments, would you have given away your last dollar? See you in the next story. This has been SM Stories. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong.